There you
All
go.
right, so D is asking thoughts on Netanyahu returning to power. I have two thoughts on this. One of them is what happened to the turnover on Arabs. So the turnover was high. So that shows a lot of Israelis like a right-wing government, because we went from the most secular, diverse government in Israel's history, all of a sudden swung right over to the other extreme, to the most right-wing religious government in Israel's history. Okay, like a government that was pretty secular and had Arabs in it as well, but now like no Arabs, extremely racist, extremely right wing, and extremely religious government, the most religious government we have ever had in Israel's history, which is horrible. And it's partly because Arabs didn't show up. Arab Israelis didn't show up for elections. Now, I don't know what, I'm assuming it's because, I mean, they showed up last time and it worked, but this time they didn't participate because like they don't want to endorse the system and all of that. But well, this is what you get when you don't show up. So that's one thought I have, and then second thought I have is this. This is part of a bigger trend globally. Okay, we are the world liberal order had a major win with Ukraine and the weakening of Putin's government, right? But the people who are in favor of liberalism should not be complacent, because we have had major losses, right? In Europe, Italy and Sweden are going full right wing, right? So that's a major threat to the world liberal order, right? India is becoming more and more religious, the politics becoming right wing and religious, right? China is China is still a major threat. And United States might like go right wing when it comes to, I don't know if Trump is going to win or DeSantis is going to win, but that would be a major blow to the world liberal order, right? So we need to wake up. Okay, so China is always a threat. China is actually both. China's economy is in favor of the world liberal order. China's politics is against world liberal order, right? So these are two conflicting powers that are working. So this is why we need capitalism to undo fascism, right? Capitalism is a force that kind of reduces the forces of fascism, because there's too much money to be made, and liberalism is the way to make it, right? So we'll see who wins in China. Is money or fascism? Which one is going to win? But there's that. But so this whole Israel thing, because as Israel also going right wing, even though it's a smaller country compared to the European countries, going right wing is very dangerous to liberal order. China also is a major threat. China's politics. United States going right wing would be the greatest threat to the world liberal order. But Israel, even being a small country, is very significant going this right wing and religious, because it has a very, very huge effect on U.S. politics, right? So it carries a lot of weight, even though it's a tiny country. It has a huge effect. It being religious has a huge impact on global politics as a whole. So it's very dangerous. And I want to say that I have been talking to some atheists in Israel, and I can't reveal who because they haven't permitted me this. But I am trying to see if I could create a bridge, because this is something that we were trying to do a couple of years ago, but now with Israel going very religious, I'm going to try to finally get to do this and try to see if we could use Atheist Republic and Secular Jihadists, and maybe Heresy would be interested in that, in building some bridge with atheists in Israel and secularists in Israel, and see if we could highlight them, create movements there, bring attention to the movements, growing movements, because there are a lot of atheist and secular movements in Israel, but that don't get enough attention. And I think given how much Israel has a huge impact on the world politics, and it going religious and right wing, it's very important for us to try to encourage people to donate to them, to highlight them, to pay more attention to atheist and secular movements in Israel. So again, guys, I know a lot of people don't understand how much atheist and secular activism matters, but given that the world liberal order is mostly in many places in danger because religious movements, okay, the only place that world liberal order is not being challenged because of religion is in Russia and China. But if you look at almost everywhere else, which is in Israel, it's because of religion that the world liberal order is in danger. In the United States, it's because of religion that the world liberal order is in danger. In India, it's because of religion that the world liberal order is in danger. And the world liberal order is the main thing that is keeping peace and stability all around the world. So religion is threatening that. The stability that we have been enjoying ever since World War II. Okay, you guys think like there's war and destruction everywhere in the world. You have seen nothing. The world was a much more dangerous place before World War II. And religion is threatening this stability and this peace. So this is why, as unlike what many people understand, atheist activism and secular activism is essential to people's lives and livelihood. Anyways, that's my rant. What do you think?
I have no idea. Like I mostly agree, but I'm just looking at some of the points here. For example, some people are saying, that capitalism is not necessarily liberalism. How would you answer that? Obviously, it's not, but that's not what you're saying either. I think it's probably best if you do explain that to these people. Why? Because people generally think that communism promotes secularism and liberalism and usually enlightened values, but when we see it in practice, that doesn't end up being the case. Communism more often than not leads to fascism, or more totalitarianism. I think that's probably a more appropriate word. But obviously, when you look at the economics and when you look at the social fabric, these two things are different, how they behave. And the best ideas in most liberal economies of the world are capitalist, or you could say they're mixed with some flavor of certain socialistic principles. Obviously, the United States being being a major exception to that rule. But how do you explain that? Like, for example, these people saying stuff like that, or there was another one. Sorry, I want to show you. Where is it? I think it's gone. Oh, I thought. Hang on. I think you had that. Where did that go? Yeah, someone said that capitalism is not equal to liberalism. So how do you answer that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, a great job in not listening. Capitalism does not equal liberalism. I did not say capitalism is liberalism, but capitalism helps with liberalism because liberty and democracy is the best way to make money. Okay. Fascism reduces the efficiency of markets. Okay. The reason why capitalism helps with liberalism and democracy is because there's too much money to be made for it to be stopped by fascism, right? Every time you see command economics, top-down order of markets through fascism, markets do not work as efficiently. There's less money to be made. The allocation of resources are a lot less efficient than when it's happening through a market. When people are more free to make decisions, they make decisions that are more in line with their economic interests, and that's why countries' wealth grows faster because of democracy and liberalism. That's why, because liberalism and democracy is the best way to make money, capitalism encourages democracy and liberalism. Also, for example, if you look at China, China is too much connected to the global market, right? And this global market gets its security and stability from the world liberal order, right? So China cannot, as aggressively as Russia, challenge that because it's benefiting from that. China's economy is benefiting from the peace and stability that has been gained from the world liberal order. So it's challenging the standards and the way methods and the agreements that has been done through this order, basically challenges its own economy too much. Russia challenged that because it's a lot less of a economic powerhouse that China is, so it was less reliant on it, and also because Putin is a madman, so Russia was able to go and challenge that, and now it's suffering from it. But China is not interested in challenging this whole order as much, even though politically it might be interested, economically it's not interested, and that's why capitalism saves us from it going full on fascist, right? So there's that. Also, for anybody who says like a communist country or secular has no idea about communism or history, because secularism doesn't mean for you to go anti-religion after religion. Secularism means that you let people. So if you stop like people from exercising their right to practice their religion peacefully, you're actually not being secular. You're being anti-secular. Secular doesn't mean that you make a country atheist or you make it non-religious. Secular means you have hands off. You let people practice their religion. So when you look at communist country and they're going after religion, that's actually in contradiction to what secularism allows you to do. It's against secular standards.
I agree. I think it's a common mistake people make, and this is why these labels, most of these labels, they overlap. There's intersectionality of all these labels, and people just tend to go, okay, I'm just a libertarian, and there you go. I'm totally opposite to you, to a utilitarian. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, there's always these certain factors that keep going, that they overlap each other. I don't know, since non-Muslims are going to come, I don't know why they're so scared of us. I just don't understand why, like, what's the worst that going to happen? Like, I mean, they don't even come to my Urdu shows anymore. They're just so nervous. They're so scared. I think they're just scared.
Yeah, they're scared. Guys, send the link to your Muslim friends.
Yeah, send it to your Muslim friends, your social media, your profiles, your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Just say these two is quote unquote Islamophobes are sitting there. Go and have a chat with them, and put them in their places. So, but I don't think, they're just probably just scared. They're like, well, you've been refuted far too many times. That's another favorite thing of theirs. They just say, well, we've refuted you. No, you've just given your rebuttal, which is full of shit and nonsense. It doesn't mean that's an acceptable refutation or even a rebuttal for that matter. But anyway, so we have a complaint for you. Okay, sorry. Now let's just do this. How is world liberal order in danger because of India again?
Well, I mean, India is again, like China, is in favor of the world liberal order and also against it. Its economy is actually, India is moving in favor. Like India, fortunately, because of its economic interests and geopolitical interests, is getting closer to countries like United States or Japan or against China, and it's getting closer to world liberal order and strengthening it. So in that way, India is helping. The trend, however, that we're seeing is its politics becoming more religious and more right wing, and it therefore eventually and now having standards that is not in line with world liberal orders, and that makes them a more difficult ally in the future. Okay, because liberal countries want to be more allied with other liberal countries. So again, this is another dynamic which is playing in India. There's economics and religious right-wing politics working against each other, two different forces that are working against each other. Hopefully, money pouring, like the future of India economically, hopefully, is very bright, and that would have a liberating effect, hopefully, because as GDP per capita increases, people become more liberal because it's in their interest, because it makes more money. However, sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. In general, it works more often than it doesn't, but we're hoping that India's economy growing would have that liberal effect on it. But right now, in the short term at least, it seemed like its politics is moving right wing and religious, and that's against liberal standards. That makes it a more, and if those standards have an influence on its foreign politics, that would make it a force against the world liberal order. We'll see though. To have your questions answered on the next live stream, become my patron today. You can do so with as little as $1 a month. Link in the description below.